Afternoon, everyone. My name is Murat Guvenc. I'm Managing Director of BeamSec, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's Cyber Circle Roundtable discussion. Please join me welcoming our dear panelists, Ranjith Melarkode, founder of Yara Labs, Topendra Bhattacharjee, founder of Bargad AI, and Chandramouli Pandya, Regional Director for AI Fellowships. So let's start with a quick introduction from our panelists.
Okay, I'll go first. Thank you, Murat, and to the BeamSec team for having us here and for having me as part of this panel. Really appreciate it. My name is Ranjith Melarkode. I run Yara Labs AI, where we build AI fluency for enterprise and banking teams and retail teams. Before this, spent many years as an operator in AI. Deployed production, grade AI for 160 million users, $18 million ROI. I was part of India's largest cinema chain. Also built Neural.ai, which is a community of AI practitioners. We're about 20,000 members strong. And on this panel, Murat, I'm less interested in the model and the tech and more interested in the human being. And talking to all of us about who's accountable and whether they're fluent enough to be here. So that's the perspective that I would love to bring on board. Thank you.
Ranjit, I appreciate it. Who wants to go next? Topendra? Yes, please.
Okay. Hi, I am Topendra Bhattacharjee. I come from the banking domain, did 25 years of banking before starting Bargad, and have done banking across commercial, retail, and then finally did a decade of digital banking with RBL Bank as the head of digital for RBL Bank for almost a decade, and have seen different types of deployments across, systems, etc. So if you look at it, today's topic actually segues well into how other systems have behaved while being deployed by human beings, and that's where we should touch upon and have a conversation around in today's panel. Having said that, Bargad deals with alternate data, and this data is used to model and derive scores for incoming leads into any onboarding funnel, which is digital in nature, and tries to give a color to this lead, red, amber, or green, by using these, these alternate data points. Happy to have been invited in this panel. Thank you, Murat. Ranjit and Chandra, we will have a very hearty discussion here. Thank you.
Thanks, Topendra.
Yeah, thanks, Murat and BeamSec for the panel discussion. It's very apt, timely, and very interesting. I'm Chandramouli Pandya. I am the Regional Director for the AI Fellowship, that is AI practitioners community across 80 countries right now, with physical chapters being launched in various countries as we speak. In addition to that, I hold multiple hats. I am the CTO for Humane Technologies, which is a consultancy in leading edge tech, and also the head of technology at Pivot Roots Havas Media. This kind of gives me a cross-industry cost perspective because of the various kinds of implementations that we do for our clients and the kind of practitioners that we have in the community. And governance has been a common thread that we have been discussing, that we have been deliberating and brainstorming on. So excited to speak today around various observations that we see in the industry, as well as the various governments that are coming out with regulations and how they are looking at governance.
Thanks, Chandramouli. It's our pleasure to have you today. So let's dive in with the hard question then. That sits at the heart of every AI deployment decision. Where should we draw the line between AI making decisions and humans making decisions, and why? Topendra, do you want to tackle this question?
Sure. Thanks, Murat. So if you look at it, it actually depends on the context for what we are building. And essentially, there's no line which is actually to be drawn. It is pretty defined.
Okay.
So today, AI does not have a legal context, if you look at it, or rather a legal standing, or it's not considered as accountable for anything in today's date. So given that scenario, the accountability part of it comes as a part of the person behind the deployment at various stages. So whether it is AI who is AI that is getting built for a purpose, or whether it's a large language model which is actually being used to create different types of use cases across. In every way, if you look at it, what is the AI actually doing? It is actually processing data, analyzing thousands of variables at a particular speed, and giving you enablement, or rather recommendations, in a particular format. Now, to whether to use that recommendation, approve that recommendation, reject that recommendation, is at the end where a decision needs to be taken. And essentially, the decision is taken by the user. Now, why does the user need to take that decision? Is because, there are certain contexts, there are certain biases, and there is a macro environment in which the AI is operating, and the AI is not aware of these things. So given this scenario, the expectation is that the human in between, or the human in loop, should be able to get this part of context, accountability, bias, etc., and therefore create or rather use the AI in a way where it enables the decision that it is working for. So essentially, if you look at it, I don't think there is any line which is required. It is defined in that particular fashion.
So we agree that women should be in the loop. But on the other token, the reason of AI or the advanced technology is all about automation and orchestration for decision making. But when you step back, what decisions should never be delegated to machines? Chandramouli?
So this is an interesting question, both from a technology and from a governance and philosophy perspective. And if you look at how the EU law focuses on governance, how the Singapore framework that just came out, guidelines came out, focuses on it, and how the Manav vision that was mentioned by PM Modi at the India AI Summit earlier this year looks at it. Each of these look at it from different perspectives. And I would like to quote Ranjith Kuhn here, that he mentioned in a fairly recent interview that we think AI is intelligent because it can copy the language, right? It can produce that human-like behavior. But is it really intelligent today, as we have it today? Right. And that intelligence is not the same as human. So when we talk about what can be delegated to an AI or what should not be delegated to an AI, we need to understand that AI intelligence is not the same as human intelligence. Right? We have a habit of anthropomorphizing AI and thinking that it is going to hold the same values, it is going to hold the same, philosophies as us. But that's not going to be the case. And that kind of segues into what Topendra was earlier saying, that when we try and delegate decisions, we need to build a line and say that these decisions are going to have a material impact on people. And therefore, these decisions should either be not delegated at all, right? Or if they are being delegated, there has to be a human in the loop before some action gets taken. So now with agentic AI, right, direct actions happening, a human should check and validate the proposed actions before they go out. So I wouldn't directly say that nothing should be delegated, but we need to have a very clear understanding of what the impact of each of those actions is going to be, and then take a decision whether it should be delegated to AI or not.
Very well, very well. So I want to expand on that one, human in the loop. We hear human oversight cited constantly in the governance frameworks, as you are, Chandramouli, referring to your AI Act, in the board presentations, in any regulation. But On the other token, we face the speed and the complexity of the AI that could outpace human cognition. So is human oversight that we are talking is a safeguard, or is this just an illusion? Ranjith, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, sure. That's an interesting question, especially after what Topendra and Chandramouli expressed. I'm going to sort of lead on from where Chandramouli made his point last. So I think one of the things that we sort of need to, I think, look at is the cost of oversight, or the cost of not being, having oversight, right? And I think I'm going to start with two stories and then come to my. So example A, then this happened in the EU. Dutch childcare benefits, they were administered between 2005 to 2019, I think. And so there was an algorithm that was actually flagging the fraud in this. And, there was human oversight in whatever way that they put it in. But what happened as a result was 26,000 families by this algorithm got flagged as suspects. And the primary risk input was their nationality, right? Which means that, just on one single flag, the risk for any particular individual or any family suddenly just went up. And then the civil servants just rubber stamped, whatever came out of this algorithm. And about 1,700, 1,600, children were removed from this. And then this became a problem, right? And this then was, of course, reversed. They found an issue. And, the entire, the cabinet resigned in 2021. There was human oversight, but was that really effective? And was that, really, did it catch this? Not really. The second, aspect is that you have humans in the loop. And this is something that I think Topendra spoke about. Right. And, gentlemen, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just sort of giving you examples of where things, the boundary of this is also stretching. So there was this Dutch study of radiographers, right? And where they basically got a bunch of radiographers together, where they had a bunch of inexperienced, moderately experienced, and very experienced radiographers. And they had them work with an AI system to then grade, a mammogram. And when they did this, they had purposely peppered the data set with faulty AI results. So when the AI was correct, everything was okay and hunky dory, which is that the inexperienced, and the very experienced doctors, radiographers got with the AI, they got 80% of the accuracy in terms of reading the mammograms. However, when the AI was wrong, and it was wrong purposely, the inexperienced radiologists got it right only 12% of the time. 19% of the time. The in-between category of radiologists, which were moderately experienced, got it right about 24%. And the very experienced radiographers, while they relied on AI, they got it right only 45% of the time, right? And so what this really says is there seems to be an automation human bias where the human beings, land with an automatic bias saying that maybe the system is more intelligent than I am. And they sort of decide to actually go ahead with this. But the short answer to your question, Murat, is I think the answer is both. It's a safeguard as well as an illusion. And which one you get is a design choice. It's not a model choice, right? Oversight is real only when three things actually really, sort of take effect as part of the design system. One is there's a human who actually has time to take a look. The second thing is the human is actually AI fluent enough to be able to spot something that's going wrong. And the third is that the human has authority to overrule an AI system and then sort of set it right. So I think the answer is both, but this is the broad framework which I think will sort of help us to get to more responsible AI. And so that's my quick answer.
Correct. No, I appreciate that, Ranjit. So there are some hiccups, as you rightly give some examples, but I want to play devil's advocate here. So AI, and it's supposed to be, all the systems that we are leveraging will become faster, will become smarter, will become more capable. So how do we expect humans really keep up with the AI to really enforce and a layer, a control? Chandramouli, do you want to take this question?
Sure. And I think Ranjith has set the stage perfectly for me to answer this question. So thank you for that, Ranjith, because he's spelled out the key problems, right? Do humans have the time and the capacity and the capability to play the role of oversight? Now, if you look at different perspectives of how this has been approached traditionally, is we have had systems in the past, although if they were automated, it was very easy to trace back exactly where the fault was and correct it. AI differs from that in the sense that it's very difficult to go back and check exactly what caused a particular problem. Right? They are largely in a black box to say. There was good research happening from IBM on explainable AI, but with the AI usability boom that's come in, right, the explainability has kind of taken a backseat right now. So explainable AI is one way of bringing in oversight and bringing in practical traceability of decision making. That's one approach. The other approach, right, is to build it right from the get-go. Build systems that are accountable, that have governance models, that have the right sense checks built in, rather than follow the build fast and fix later kind of a mentality. So AI is difficult, and it's going to be nearly impossible to build fast and fix later. We will have to build from the ground up AI systems that are following the values that we wanted to follow, or following the regulation that we are wanting to follow. And that is one place where, again, I'll hark back to the Manav vision and some of the Indian regulatory stance. Indian regulatory stance is one of the only places where the AI regulation says AI needs to follow the regulation of the land rather than giving it one blanket term of regulations. What has happened with other regulations is they have asked it to follow a particular set of rules. Now, those set of rules are relevant to the entity which is building that law. So if an EU Act has come out, right, it is giving it a set of laws that are more relevant for EU, but they may not be applicable everywhere, right? On the other hand, the Indian regulator says that whatever model you're using, wherever is being deployed, the local law should be followed. And I think that sets a good groundwork of how AI should govern and how humans should be looking at governing AIs. We should be building AIs that are self-governing, which are built from the ground up with the governance models in place. It's going to be challenging. It's not going to be an easy task, right? And by no means am I saying this is an easy task. Okay. But if we don't do that, the implications of it are going to be very severe. So it's better to get it right now rather than try to fix it down the line when it's too late.
Very, very good point. So building the AI responsibly. Actually, I want to move that conversation a little bit deeper in that topic. The reason is the room is full of founders. So you're building AI systems, and time to time you have to make some trade-offs in real time. Because I assume you have limited resources, and again, you are working under competitive pressure. When you are building an AI product, where does responsible AI sit in your priorities, Ranjith?
Sure. I mean, glad to take that one, Murat. So I think, again, what I would be saying is many people look at building responsible AI as a cost of the build, right? I think you have to twist that a little bit and look at it as the cost that you avoid by doing a responsible build, right? And to sort of, explain that again, I'm hoping my internet doesn't prove to be a killer again, is that, I'm going to give an example, right? I mean, there was this company called Zillow Offers. I think they're an American company. They basically built this AI system that drove automated home buying as an investment. And it's a real ML product, right? And it was AI in production. But the problem was that it kept buying into a market that was cooling faster than any control that could actually catch the wrong buy, right? And the impact of that was that November 2021, they shut down. They had about $304 million of inventory to write down. They had staff cuts, then the model that worked, nobody actually thought about building a circuit breaker in that says, hey, when the confidence is dropping, should the buying stop? I mean, it was a basic question to actually ask. Maybe, if you know people there, maybe the model confidence was still high and it was still buying. We don't know. But the answer is that this was a responsible AI failure because it actually killed a company, right? And there are many other, examples of where, AI, if you leave it, unchecked, will actually take decisions on behalf of human beings which are not optimal, right? Now, to circle back to what Chandramouli Pandya was saying earlier, is that building governance systems, building responsibility into your AI systems is really the part of your build process. It's part of your design. It's part of your requirements. It's part of how you actually envision AI goes into production. Responsibility in the architecture is really what people should be talking about, not just responsibility in their press release, right? So today, I think, people are paying more attention to this, and I think there is not enough said. But I think an architecture that includes a kill switch, an exposure limit, an audit trail, a human being who's owning this law, which then makes them responsible to take, all these things more seriously. That's all part of, the responsible AI build process. And the guardrails that actually sort of help direct human attention to somebody noticing when there's something missing or there's something going wrong. This is all part of the responsible AI product process today in 2025-26. And I believe that this is going to become a much larger topic as we see more production AI getting into the world out there. And I think one last thing is responsible AI isn't the cost. It's the cost of the incident that proves that you skipped it and nobody's budgeted for this. And, and they're now paying for it, right? So this is really, what makes you decide as to where responsible AI sits. So I think it squarely sits right in the middle of the build process at the core center of it.
I love it. We have this approach, and mostly a node-American approach: move fast and fix it later. Is this a reasonable approach when we are building AI systems that may influence people's lives in the negative way? Topendra, do you have any remarks?
Yeah, sure. So I would want to expand on what Ranjith just mentioned. I think this goes back to any sort of technology build that we have done so far. Leave alone AI, and it's at the very core of what we are building. The only thing now differentiates between what we have built earlier and now is primarily that the AI has a mind of its own and can take decisions. Whether we allow it to take decisions or not is something that is critical there. Especially having worked in a very sensitive space in banking, that's something which is, we all have seen the various large banking corporations who have made erroneous decisions basis certain systemic input. So AI also treads a similar kind of a path. And to answer your question, Murat, the more important part of this question is the phrase that which impacts people's lives. Now, if it is, the context is, what are we building? So if you're building for something which will impact an individual's life, then definitely, move fast and fix later is something absolute no around it, because what requires is, the point is the impact of this application is the priority there. And for that to be right all the time, it cannot be most of the time. It has to be all the time if it is impacting somebody's life. So therefore, the risk assessment for this application at that point of time is critical. However, if it is something which is, being built for a low impact kind of a scenario. Okay, now the examples that Ranjit quoted, this applies to all of them. But if it's a low impact scenario in terms of, say, where there is not major, cost impact, or there is no major, impact on anybody's livelihood, or any sort of impact on the life of a person, there you build and fix, your build and fix model can work reasonably, because AI evolves by itself. So the more you train it, the more it will keep evolving. And the entire thing is about what is getting input. Like I mentioned earlier, the context in the way in which the AI is being trained is what is critical. So we work around various SLMs that are actually focused towards proprietary use cases. Now, in that scenario, as we build and fix, the application, depending on the use case, is not that critical from that perspective of hampering maybe a banking transaction or something of that sort. It is more of an efficiency definer. So in that case, build and fix may work with a little bit of with a lot of oversight on it. But having said that, when you are building something which is very high impact, certain things are extremely important. Assessing the risk before deployment is critical. So what could be the risks, listing it down and working around it is something which is very, very critical. Then the human in loop here becomes much more important than otherwise, because the human will run the governance over the activity of the AI and will be responsible for its actions. So that's the second part of it. The third part of it is, are there biases that are built into the model because of the training pattern? So that is something that needs to get, identified, and therefore the accuracy of the response has to be gauged accordingly. The third is there enough possibility of transparency in what is being done? So for example, if I'm building a risk model AI for a loan disbursement kind of a loan underwriting kind of a scenario, I would definitely need transparency in what is going into the model. Okay, and what are the variables, how does it look, and what is the weightage, and so on. So the entirety of the activity or the model has to be visible to me. So and that I think is very high in terms of the transparency scenario. The last one is we have to be close in terms of keeping a watch. So it rolls back to the point that keep the human in loop scenario. The human in loop has to monitor this deployment very closely at a micro level to ensure that there is no mishaps which are identified after the damage has been caused. So all these things put together is not equal to move fast and fix it later, but treading it in a scenario where you are carefully deploying it rather than doing experiments around with people's lives or impacting people's lives. So experimenting rapidly in controlled environments for a light impact scenario is okay, but for a high impact scenario, it has to be very, very well governed and and defined in terms of accuracy, etc.
I agree. Thanks. Chandramouli, I would like to ask you this simple but tricky question. Where is the biggest gap between AI ambition and AI readiness today when you look at your customer base, the companies you work with?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we lost the vision,
Okay.
but we can hear you, Chandramouli. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, some issue. But so the gap, I would say, lies in two parts. One is there is no unified vision around governance, unfortunately. If you look at it, right, everybody's creating their own governance. Recently, you saw the US come out with a regulation preventing Anthropic from rolling out their latest model to everybody outside of US, right? And Fable 5 access was cut off for everybody. It's on now again, but with a milder version of Fable 5. So everybody is following their own governance. And one of the things that we promote at the AI Fellowship is AI for all humans. So that's kind of our banner statement, and that cannot be achieved if we are working on governance in silos. We need to have governance being worked upon as a global joint effort across all humans, because everybody is going to get impacted directly or indirectly because of that. So one of the gaps that I see is definite deliberate actions towards governance. The other gap that I see is in understanding the impact of AI and therefore the necessary governance that will need to be brought in. And that is where the challenge lies. Most people do not understand AI completely today. Right? There is a very superficial understanding of AI in the industry, even with the regulators themselves. And that is one of the reasons why we see a gap between what governance is required versus what governance we get out there, the kind of regulations that come out, or even the importance of governance, right? Like Ranjith also mentioned earlier, and Topendra also mentioned just now, is that importance of governance is not taken that seriously till the impact comes in. And I think that's one is understanding the fact that this is going to impact all of us. Another is understanding AI itself. So I think those two areas is where the gap lies.
Thanks. All good. So I will move to the last section. AI systems will fail, and we see that they already do through bias, through misapplication, through hallucination, through adversarial manipulation, whatever the reason. But still, there are some questions that we didn't answer well, legally or organizationally, to basically understand who carries responsibility when that failure happens. So very quickly, Topendra and Ranjit, I just want to get your basically insights. If an AI system causes harm, who should be accountable?
Should I go? Ranjit, you want to go?
For it, I'll follow you.
Thanks. So I think, I mean, I think it's been said for the entire 30 minutes that we've spoken so far that the human in loop element is extremely critical. And that is where the entire accountability lies in today's date. But I want to also double click on a point that Chandra made just now, is on the current understanding of AI primarily by the users, and whether they really understand what governance is, how important governance is, and how it is being deployed across. So that itself is is the red flag at this point of time. And that is something that needs to be upped severely before use of AI becomes this prevalent, and where it is being used is this prevalent. So that is something that I think is critical. Today, AI has no legal or moral responsibility. It is still a tool. It is an application like any other application. Having been in the tech space for a while, it is like a deployment, as we call it. So you will it is being deployed for a purpose, and that purpose is what it needs to solve for, is what we know in today's date. And that is what we are how AI is looked at currently from any legal standpoint. However, from a moral standpoint, or rather, understanding where the human element comes in, the most important part of the human element is the context that is there, and that has to be built in as a part of its governance model or responsibility metrics, etc. And that is where I think that is more important. To give you an example, I'm quite awed by this example actually myself, and we all have seen and heard it built, is Mythos. Anthropic knew what they had built. or rather had realized what they have built, and therefore they limited its, the access before it went in for deployment. And actually, finally, through the project Glasswing, they actually controlled the entire environment in which it was released, worked with certain partner parties, and saw what it was, how deep it could work in. And because of the way it could damage the overall thing, they actually withdrew the entire, uh, you know, uh, the launch of Mythos. And therefore, I mean, if you look at it, the Mythos release, it's a very good example of accountable AI governance. Anthropic recognized the model's cyber capabilities and have significantly, withdrawn the entire activity, so that, it does not create that kind of a damage. So there are many such examples in the market at this point of time, which have happened in large organizations. Amazon has an example on the HR side. There are other examples that Ranjith has just quoted. So it is all about, realizing and therefore taking accountability around it. So it is either the person or the organization which is held accountable for any AI system harm at this point of time.
So thanks, Topendra, for that. I mean, for that context is great. So, my question is, I mean, my answer to the question is going to sort of zoom back a little bit. And again, I'm going to, quote a bunch of examples. I think, so for all organizations, I think it's, responsible, who's responsible and where's responsibility. I mean, they would obviously love to say that the AI vendor is responsible, and that's the grown-up version of the dog ate my homework. Unfortunately, in this particular case, I think, and there are a variety of examples. And one example that I'm going to quote is there's a lender in the United States, 2025. They did not, profile for disparate action in the sense that for Blacks, Hispanics, and people who were non-citizens in applying for a loan, the AI model obviously discriminated against them. And what happened was then a lawsuit. And then in the lawsuit, the AI model vendor was not responsible, but the lending organization was responsible, because the court asked them questions saying that, why is it that you did not actually have the safeguards built in? Why did you not have the review? And why did you not have the right answers to applicants who actually asked, saying, why was my application rejected? If you did not ask all those questions of your AI vendor, you are responsible, not somebody else. And there are many other, there are many other examples as well. There is, another example, of a chat bot, committing something to a customer. The organization tried, arguing, saying that the chatbot is a separate legal entity and it had a mind of its own. But the justice system shot it down, saying that you as a vendor, I mean, you as an organization who deployed the chatbot, is really responsible rather than, the AI model behind it. So I think while, Topendra was talking about, good examples of where organizations actually sort of had forethought, talked through it, and then basically decided to take some action. There are examples where people have deployed AI in production, which has actually run amiss. So I think the bottom line is you can outsource, the model or the development of the AI infrastructure. But you can't outsource the liability. If you're an organization or an enterprise that's actually looking at this, today there's enough regulation that's coming in. There's in coming back close to home in India, I think the RBI has accountability as a key pillar that they've called out. The DPDP Act has actually called out, penalties that are monetary, when, data, leaks for data fiduciaries. And there are so many more examples to give. But broadly, what the organizations should take away is that they are responsible for the liability of deploying AI, especially in a consumer phase. So that's something that they really need to now pay attention to, and pay careful attention to see how to actually build in the right governance, the safeguards, and the kill switch if required, so that it doesn't run amiss.
Thanks, Ranjith. So my last question to wrap up the roundtable to all of you, if you can respond in one or two sentences, possible. If you have to make one commitment to building AI more responsibly, starting tomorrow, what will that be?
I can start, gentlemen. I'll,
Go ahead, Ranjith.
We deal with this, quite often. Can you hear me? Okay. So we deal with this quite often, Murat, and in the sense that today, I think, what I would personally put out is that before you as an enterprise or a startup or as an organization buy another model, buy another AI to actually deploy, the first thing that I would buy is your people's judgment on AI, right? So what that means is I would treat AI capability and AI fluency as the biggest commitment and safety control that I would put into your own organization, not as a training perk, but as a core capability, because that is probably the cheapest way of de-risking what AI could actually deliver as impact for you and as risk for you. So that's the biggest, sort of one single line thing that I would put on. And to qualify that further, what I would say is every AI deployment that you put in should get a named human owner who can explain it in plain language, explain their decisions, and also know when to turn it off. And that's really what another line that we actually train in. So we actually work in AI fluency. And so this is what my one line, commitment would be.
No, I like it. It's you need to know when you can turn it off. All right. It's good. Yes, Topendra, Chandramouli, your remarks, please.
Topendra, why don't you go first?
Sure. So, I was absolutely in the same space like what Ranjith mentioned, and it's absolutely bang on. Explainability is the key if we can do it. And I say that because I've worked in banking and digital trust for a very long time now. So if you can't explain it, you don't have space in especially the BFSI domain. Of course, there are many other domains which also demands the same kind of an explainability. But that's the key for me. Beyond that, of course, the governance built across by human oversight also double clicks on what Ranjith said, and that is something which is, I think, one of the key aspects of building AI. So AI actually will augment the human judgment and not replace it, is what I think is that one line that that I would want to stick with.
If I have to look at one thing that we're going to look at, Ranjit has nicely mentioned, traceable ownership, which is for every decision that an AI makes, there has to be an owner for a human owner for it. And for that, I think the enabler that is needed is for the humans to truly understand how AI works, how the decision process works, right? How a particular AI, irrespective of which model it is or which company's AI is being used, how did the AI reach that particular decision? As AI fellow shared, right? That's one of the things that we are pushing for is people understanding AI better. So I think that's getting people to understand, even the non-tech folks to understand AI better will lead to better governance, is what my thought process is.
Very good. Topendra, Chandramouli, Ranjith, on behalf of BeamSec, I would like to thank you all for being part of Cyber Circle today and sharing your valuable insights. I look forward to our collaboration on other occasions. Have a productive rest of the day. Take care all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed being here with my co-panelists. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chandra. Thank you, Ranjith. Thank you, Murat.
Thanks, Ranjit, Topendra.
Take care all.